In this episode, I want to talk about a topic that, I don't know, is contentious / fun / interesting, and really look at marriage through the eyes of kingdom business. It's probably one of the most common questions that I do get is, how do I get on the same page as my partner? And how do we deal with if I'm called to business and they're not? And all this sort of stuff. And so I want to explore that, ultimately talking out of testimony, really, rather than just vain opinion. And then I invite you guys to put forward your questions and I will answer them. Obviously, I personally think that marriage is probably the trickiest aspect of kingdom business, is the home life, right? I kind of feel like I've got the marketing down and the all those kind of things and the business models and the cash flows, and yet the thing that I kind of feel like is hard work for me is the marriage part, right? Because it's so much more important than any of those other areas. And so that's why we're going to talk about it here. By the way, when you guys jump on, do me a favor, let me know where you're from around this wonderful country. All right, let me know, because I want to engage with you and find out a little bit more about where you are as we go through. So we're here to talk about marriage, and I feel somewhat qualified as I have been married for coming up 12 years, 3 kids, multiple businesses in that time, and I see it as a very, very interesting area. Full confession, straight off the bat, it's probably the area that I got most wrong when I was first married. I told you on the last live that Kimberly and I were married, and then on our 1-year wedding anniversary, she was in hospital giving birth to our first child. So we were only married 12 weeks before we found out she was pregnant and so forth. But what I didn't tell you about that time was it was a very, very, very horrible time in our marriage. We had a brand new baby. We'd only been together a short amount of time. My business was taking off. So the demands were really high. And so there were a whole bunch of reasons, right? 50% of them being Kimberly's and 50% of them being mine. But one of the things that I did wrong was I didn't prioritize the marriage. I was out, doing business morning, nighttime as much as I could. And so I made that mistake, and it put a lot of pressure on the marriage. Okay, so luckily for us, we went and sought some help and we got some guidance, and through some amazing pastors of ours, we were able to kind of get back on the same page and been good ever since. And so, I guess just so that I can be, full authority and also full vulnerability, I got it wrong badly. That's kind of how I feel like I've got some props to teach you how to do it. The other thing is, all through these years that we've run Business Greenhouse, we've had clients come to us, or I've had clients come many, many times, and I get this interesting dynamic where they come to us, and basically what they're looking for is one party for me to convince the other party to get on the same page as one of them. And typically it is the man, this is typically how it happens, not always, but typically the man comes and brings his wife in and says, Wez, I'm growing a business and I need my wife to be on the same page. And I think first and foremost, that's such the wrong mentality, right? A man shall leave his mum and dad to cleave to his wife, and like it's a 50-50 unity, both parties bring, there's not just one that's dominant and one that's subservient. That's 1973 preaching that says the wife is subservient to the man. It's rubbish. It's an equal unity of complementary gifts. It's teamwork. And so quite often when I have these couples come in and the bloke's going, you've got to get my wife on the same page, my first comment is, who made you the king of the castle, right? What about what she has to offer, and what about her discernment, and what about what's on her life? You need to find the page and both get on it, but it's very rarely that one has to get on the page of the other. So I kind of want to talk about some ways to kind of navigate that so that you don't have to have that conversation. And also, like I'm not qualified to talk about a couple where one's in business and a Christian and the other one's not a Christian. I've never had that scenario, so I can't really talk into that. But I guess I just want to look at some things that we can proactively do so that we don't end up in a full amount of tension that completely drives us apart. It's not godly success, right, to go and build $1 billion corporation, but your home life is in tatters. That's not kingdom success, right? Kingdom is an operating system. It's this beautiful world where we have some sort of checks and balances in place so that everybody wins in that, okay? If we're completely neglecting children to build a kingdom business, you might be able to get away with that for a short period of time, but if you try and do that for a decade, then we know, the Bible tells us that the fruit in the kids from being neglected is really bad, right? And, how many times have we seen it where a high-flying minister of the gospel spends so long pouring into their congregation that they forget to pour into their kids, and before you know it, the kids are injecting heroin in their eyeballs, and that's just not a pretty thing. So I just think there are some things basically that we could do to really help our chances of success. Your questions, you can pop them in the comments box or put your phone number in there and my team will call you and we'll get you on the show. All right, point number 1. I think if we want to do a good job of blending business and marriage is that we need to communicate early and often. All right? So typically for me, this is one of the learned skills that I have with Kimberly. We would literally sit down, and I had learnt that if I just drop things on Kimberly, like, oh, hey, listen, I'm going to Sydney tomorrow, it would just cause unnecessary stress. Or if I'm doing, I've taken on this big project, or, I'm going to be busy for the next little while and you won't see me tonight and I forgot to tell you, or I'm ringing after dinner's on the table and saying, sorry, I've got a big night. It was okay, but it was causing a huge amount of friction unnecessarily. So what I did was I would literally just sit down with Kimberly and say, hey, let's grab a cuppa. I need to talk about work for a minute. Here's what's happening. And it could be, we've got a series of seminars coming up and I'm going to be traveling. It could be, whatever. It could be, it's a very heavy time at the moment because we're putting somebody on and we've got some training, whatever it is, whatever. But actually just going often and early and saying, hey, listen, we've got some things we need to talk about. And just by the fact that Kimberly was included early, it meant that she had time to get her head around it. She could prep. It wasn't such a shock. And it wasn't me, perceived to be going out and having all the fun and her back looking after kids and having that life, right? So just actually going early and saying, hey, listen, this is what's coming up. Can we talk about it? It might be 5 minutes. And it just includes both parties instead of one being the big dog and one being the other, okay? So that was really, really helpful to us to do that, quite regularly and intentionally. And, and by the way, it wasn't just one way. If she had busy stuff going on, if she was doing stuff with the political parties, she would sit down with me and say, hey, listen, busy period coming up. It's nearly election time and I'm going to be doing all this sort of stuff. And so great. And it allowed us to recalibrate and kind of be included. And it didn't divide us. It allowed us a platform to kind of advocate for each other so that when I'm busy, she'll step up and do a little bit more and help with the kids and da-da-da-da, and when vice versa, when I'm busy, vice versa. So you understand the point, right? Communicate early and communicate often. And and the way you frame it just puts everybody on the same page. Instead of, right, I'm busy, I need this from you. The minute you're talking like I and you are causing a division. It's we. We're team here. We're team to get this outcome. I'll do these bits, you do these bits, and so forth, all right? And I have just found that to be a beautiful way of resetting the expectations, calibrating, taking the 5, chatting things through, all right? So point number 2, if you want to blend a business and marriage well, is to prioritize family time. This is really quite difficult for a business owner, in my experience. prioritize family time. You know, if you don't intentionally make time in your diary for family, the business will always chip at your heels to the point where there's no time left. There are always 400 things on the to-do list. There are always far too many things, you know, for us to be able to handle everything well. The business will always do that. What I've also found out in like 87.3% of cases is that stuff you think is super urgent and you stay at the office for could have actually waited till tomorrow morning, or you could have got up at 6 instead of 7 and dealt with it in the morning, and you could have been home with the family and engaged with them, okay? So some of the stuff that you think is really urgent is not always urgent, and if you rein those boundaries in and prioritize time with the family, then a lot of the stuff that you think's urgent, you know, is not, and it can wait, and you can fit it into a day. What's super interesting for me in my experience is that if you do rein in your boundaries, and if you do say no to things that take you away from the family, and the family know that you've said no to things that take you away from the family, when you do say to them, hey, listen, I need to work tonight, they go, well, it must be important because you don't make this a habit. So it's okay to break the boundary because you had the boundary in the first place. It's when there are no boundaries and you're just doing whatever that everybody gets super despondent. And it creeps up, it creeps up, it creeps up. It doesn't get you for a while, but you start pushing people, pushing boundaries for too long, and then bang, you know, then you've got a massive chaos on your hands. And so I keep reminding Kimberly, you know, it's just cheaper to stay married to her now. All right, that's really my reason for wanting to do this. All right, so prioritize family time. How do you do this? Well, for us as a family, what I decided to do was I buy a big board every year. Maybe, fellas, if you can just pass me that, we'll do a bit of show and tell. I buy a board every year that is a 1-year planner, okay? And so you don't need to spend too long looking at this because this is our sensitive events for the year. But basically, you know, January to December, all of this is in there, all of the events, the summits and so forth. But, what do I do on the 1st of January? I get Kimberly, I get the kids, and we say, what are we doing for family holidays this year? So before there's a conference, before there's a speaking gig, before there's anything in the office, I sit down on the 1st of January and I say, righto guys, what are we doing this year? And there's a few things here. Firstly, if I don't do it and the year starts, I'm literally running on January 10 until I take breath on December 20, all right? Like you guys probably. And so if I don't prioritize it, it doesn't happen. The other thing is, it tells my family, you are more important than the other stuff. Yes, I've got to do both, but I want to prioritize you guys in my life and build my business around it. So now everybody's on the same page and we don't have that tension, okay? It also gives us something to look forward to. So just to kind of, you know, give you a bit of the inside scoop, on the 12th of September, so 3 weeks away or whatever, I'm going to Fiji, right? With the family, Kimberly, the 3 kids, on a plane going to a beautiful resort. Tours down, we're going to snorkeling and jet skis and hire a boat and visit some islands and who knows what else might take place. And so, you know, every single day somebody in the family says, can't wait for Fiji, can't wait for Fiji. And it reminds everybody that it's not all work, that it's also play. And so, by the way, I've just told, you know, and there was a ski trip earlier this year and some other things. And, you know, we've done a New Zealand ski trip for the last 3 years as a family. And so it's kind of factored in. But it doesn't have to be, I just gave you some examples of some expensive things. It doesn't have to be expensive holidays, by the way. If you're in the early stages of business, it shouldn't be, you know, expensive holidays. Literally, you could go and buy a 6-person tent off eBay, drive out the back of Burke and go camping for a week by a river. And I think that would be a wonderful thing to do. For those of you who your kids are enamored with the iPad, this is the best thing you could do because there's no internet, so they can't play games. They're going to be forced to talk to you. And with a bit of luck, praise the Lord, hopefully they climb a tree and fall out and hurt themselves so we can toughen up these kids these days. So you've got to prioritize them. So, and by the way, that would look different for everyone. For me, it was January 1st, putting in the holidays. For you, it might be the first of the month and go, okay, what are we doing this week? Or what this month? What's coming up? Okay, we've got school carnival. Great. I'm going to jig my diary because I want to be at the school carnival. It could be that I'm going to take this Friday off and I'm going to take the family fishing for the day. Whatever. It doesn't really matter what your thing is. You do you. I'm just giving you an example of how we do we. And the thing is, you can't really get it wrong, except if you don't actually invite them into the story, then they just feel like there's a massive divide in the family. And if you're not prioritizing family time, as you guys know, it won't happen. And one of the things that I have learned about my kids being 10, 5, and 3, is my kids spell love T-I-M-E. And if I'm not investing time and I'm not engaged with them, then listen, I've been in that place where I've neglected them for a little bit too long, and the whole thing turns feral. When Kimberly went away to Arnhem Land 3 weeks ago or whatever that is, and I had the kids for 10 days, me and the kids are still riding off that high because for 10 days we were tight. It was amazing. And so we're still riding off the high of that and the bonds that were formed over that time. You've got to have that time where you're investing with kids if you have kids. If you don't, makes it kind of hard. All right, point number 3. Point number 3, if you want to blend business and marriage well, is you need to, how did I word it? You need to learn to clear your head at the office /work /whatever it is for you, spare bedroom, however you work. Here's what I have learned. I used to make the big mistake of going home, still being the man, making calls all the way, doing deals, driving home. I'd get to the driveway, I would get out, I would go in there, but my mind's still at work. And my mind's still at work all the way through dinner, and my mind's still at work through, a little bit of playtime, and then finally, my mind might be free, and now I'm putting the kids to bed, right? So I just wasn't present with them in the early years. I mean, I have to give myself some grace. I was there, loved them and all those things. But I just knew that I was missing the mark with being present. And so it's a learned skill to be present with the kids. Now, fast forward to now, for the last 4 or 5 years, I do off really well. Work finishes, that's it, right? I'm not thinking about this thing until I get to the office tomorrow morning. But that was a long time coming. And so here is what I did that really that made the shift for me. Now, this is super tactical and super practical. Before I left the office, I'm one of these people that writes in a notebook. It's like a diary, but it's not dated. It's just a big notebook, and I just scribble stuff all day long that I need to work through. That's just my way. So I would literally sit there with my notepad at the end of the day and do a brain dump, not in any order, not in anything, and write down all the things that are on my mind. They've got to remember this, got to go here, got to invoice that customer, got to send the email reply, bang. Is there anything else I've missed? Oh yeah, one more thing, write that down. And then I literally close the book and go home. And I would use the drive home from the office to transition between I've left work and now I'm breathing, ready for when I see the people that matter most. Instead of just coming home, tearing things apart, bowering in there, causing a scene. I remember Kimberly many times, she said it was easier when you weren't here. Sometimes she preferred it if I stayed at the office because I'd come home, like a wrecking ball because I'd been so flat out all day. So just the minute, if you take things that are rattling around your head and you write them down, what your subconscious does is go, oh, okay, I don't need to remember those 400 thoughts until you get back to the office tomorrow morning because you've just put them somewhere safe that you're likely to see. So now I don't need them to rattle around your head while you're trying to, and let's be totally honest, we're talking about marriage. You're trying to eat dinner and be present. You're trying to hang out and play with the kids. You're trying to be intimate with your partner. And all you can think about is emails, this thing, some compliance record, the upcoming audit. It's just not good for your marriage, people. Get the stuff down. Be present with the people that matter. Step up the intimacy game with the partner. And you'll find that your marriage gets better. You get happier. And then when you get to the office in the morning, you're more likely to get through your list because you had a nice night. Didn't think we'd be talking about sex on Kingdom Business TV, but here we are. All right. So they're my 3 things. It's not an exhaustive list, but I kind of look at the home the home, your home. Now, I understand, I want to be sympathetic. Some of you are single, so your home is one person. Some of you are married with no kids. Some of you are married with some kids, and some of you are married. Actually, I saw Clinton on here. He's got like a soccer team. And so there's a diversity on here that are watching. There's a lot of people right now that feel like God's called them to some big vision. And we talked about big vision on the last one, and I love it, by the way. But I do think it is a mistake if we're not ruling our household. I wonder whether all these people that I know who feel called to the nations, which is a buzzword at the moment that ticks me right off, right? It's like, bugger Australia, I'm going to go and help out Ethiopians. Well, if we all do that, then what happens to Australia? So I think there is a journey to be called to the nations, and I think it starts with home. If you can't rule your home life, then I don't think God's going to give you any kind of influence in the community. And if you can't get the community bit right, I don't think you're going to have any in your state, and then in your nation, and then in the nations. I think God kind of expands our territory as we show that we are good. I think it's Proverbs 20 something that says he brings destruction on the house of the wicked, but he brings blessing on the house of the righteous. And there is something to be said for the way we run our house and the way we run our home. And I think it's important that we don't neglect the home just so we can go and do something great in our business. It has to be both. What's super interesting for me, I'm just doing a bit of a look online here for a scripture. What's interesting for me is I can probably chart that the minute I started to honor my wife and my kids and the home, we saw an increase in business that I could not put my hands on. Why? Because I got a good dad in heaven. Matthew 12:25 says this: every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. So if you don't have unity under your roof, then you will end up tearing the thing apart if you don't get on the same page. It may not happen now. It may not happen in 2019. It may not happen in 2025. It may not happen until the kids are 36. But if you don't bring that unity, and if you don't bring everybody on the same page, and you don't bring that peace to your house, then it will divide and it will not stand.